So that's about the, secular ethics. Now on top of that, we now thinking seriously, over 1,000 years, all these ancient your knowledge we kept intact. Now that we determined, we already committing to share with traditional owner of this knowledge. It's you Indian. So therefore, now my sort of remaining my lifetime, I want to serve revival of ancient Indian knowledge, logic, knowledge about our emotion, our mind, then some sort of philosophical views which very much similar that of quantum physics. Now this is your treasure. So modern Indian is completely neglected about these things. Even religious leaders, they carry pujas, some rituals, not much pay attention for study. These we need rigorous study. 15, 20, 30 years study. So now we already sort of have some idea. Now we should set up small sort of group for some study, for study, a few weeks or one month course, or few months course, or few years course. We already now thinking. And also in South India, where Tibetan traditional historical Tibetan monastic institution, which kept, keeping this Indian knowledge over 1,000 years, we have, I think, opportunity re-establish in Karnataka state. So now some scholar there already speak English and Hindi and local language also, and many speak Chinese. So I feel we must use these people and share their knowledge. And these big monastic institution, I think local Indian, there are some already. I think we should set up special sort of houses for local Indian, not necessarily monks and nuns, but lay student. I think should join and study, and eventually we can. Recently, I was in Nalanda, Rajagiri. There are small school. They call Nalanda. So I promise we can provide teacher. See, you should now carry in their curriculum should include some of these Nalanda masters' writing, like that. So that's my sort of latest commitment. Now reviving of ancient Indian knowledge. That Indian knowledge, not only ancient knowledge, but also relevant to today's world.
Your Holiness,
so
before...
in spite sort of highly development in material field, but human psychology is concerned, I think there are a lot of also the restlessness psychology level. So the ancient Indian sort of knowledge, how to tackle these sort of internal sort of restlessness in mental level, emotional level, very, very helpful. Consider as an academic subject, not a religious subject.
So I think before, I know audience is very keen to ask questions.
Yes, yes.
I think before we open it to questions, can we try and talk a little bit about the philosophy that you're talking about?
Oh yes.
But in a rapid fire way. So I'm going to try and do it a little bit short.
Kasa.
So we'll try.
The subject, philosophy.
Yeah.
Answer, yes and no, not sufficient. We study these subjects years. And how can explain within few words? Impossible.
So anyway, I'll try to make my question short, and you can then sort of.
Okay.
So, Your Holiness, the difference between free will and destiny.
I think basic, and also it depends how to look. Free. I think since we have this special intelligence, and with that, we human beings have a special sort of quality, creativity. And then take for granted basic human nature is more positive, more compassionate. Then freedom, free will is very, very relevant. If basic human nature is negative, then I think it should have more limitation about freedom. Like that. So free thinking is rare. Free will. I think the key thing, destination. Now here, the destiny. So the Maumberba. That's, I think, due to different philosophical views. Those religions which which have, you see, the concept of creator, then you see something connected with creator. But then Jainism, Sankhyaism, Buddhism, no creator. So, destination is where? Destiny, our future, entirely depend on oneself. Sometimes in the public level, you see, we say karma, due to karma. Among Tibetan also, some Buddhists also, you see, we easily, you see, blame on karma. And also, you see, sometimes, you see, I think due to laziness, no willing to make effort, then just blame karma. That's, I think, mistake. Who create karma? Karma means action. Who create action? Ourselves. So karma, up to today, is certain karma potential to bring some certain result. But today, you take certain action which overpowered that karma. Then destination change. So everything you see changing. So ultimately, future is your own hand. So that's why Buddha stated, you are your own master. Your future entirely depends on yourself. No one there.
You point to the new generation. A lot of people today come and say, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. So what is the difference between religious and spiritual?
I think spirituality, there are two levels. One spirituality with faith. One spirituality, just simply the secular, so principles. These are kind of secular, kind of spirituality without faith. I think when we talk about humanity, that's the only way. If we relate it with religion, then there are so many religions. So all major religious traditions, as I briefly mentioned, all are based on secular ethics. I feel that.
Are we in a Kali Yuga?
That I don't know. I think the certain period, ultimately our own creation. So it is wrong to say, now Kali Yuga or something happened, so we can't escape. That's a mistake. Everything in our own hand. Use modern facility combined with moral principle, warm-heartedness, then we can create very happy sort of. In happy period we can develop. I feel that.
Is there
at least you see, next, I think, a few thousand years, I think we will remain. And we can make, I think, a better world if we make effort with vision and more compassionate view and holistic view. I think we have the ability and opportunity to create a better world. After a few thousand years, then due to global warming, eventually this beautiful blue world eventually become desert. Then no hope. Then time to think reincarnation, another planet.
But my next question, coincidentally, was going to be, is there intelligent life on any other planet outside of Earth?
I think 90% say yes. Exact, we have to find out. There's no reason. Only this planet have this human species. Other limitless of stars, and around these stars, there are some small planet there. So only this sun, around this sun, available human species. Other, no, that's difficult to say. Buddhist literature say limitless world mentioned. So I think most probably, I think there are different species of world, I think.
Is there anything as negative energy?
Negative energy, yes. Anger is a negative energy. Oh, anger brings additional power or energy. That energy I usually call blind energy, harmful, destructive. So energy brought by compassion is equally powerful, but completely positive, constructive.
Your Holiness, we'll play a small Buddhist chant that's very popular. I'm sure everybody here has heard it. And we'll ask you to explain it for us, because it's very rare to hear you explaining it, at least in the media event. And then we'll open to questions.
I don't know. Oh, there are many.
No, we'll play one for you. We selected one, my favorite. So we've chosen one. We'll play it.
You already, your way.
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah, right.
And then, okay. Where? Ka. Jemiru. Suma böyle. So the previous one, I think both recited by Chinese Buddhist brothers sisters. So there is different form of chanting. Pali tradition, Namo Tase Bhagavato Arahato Samyasambuddhase, very good. Anyway, Kasa, the chanting not important. Meditation. thinking. Here, meditation also not single-pointed meditation. Usually we call shamatha. That's not important. Not much effect. Transform or affect our emotion. Only vipassana, analytical meditation, that really affect our emotion. That much, according to my own experience. Now, certain sort of analytical meditation. Now, as a result, now over 40, 50 years, it now really I found effect in my emotion. So now, these days, you see, anger, attachment, almost none. Through training of mind. So therefore, the training really effect in our emotion. That's very useful. Chanting, sometimes I jokingly telling you, it's Tibetan. So we recite Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. That's the mantra of our Lokiteshvara, manifestation of Buddha's compassion. So the explanation I will tell you later. So I usually say teasing Tibetan, joking. When we little bit hurry, Om Mani, Om Mani, 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 Mani. That sound looks like money, 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 money. What money? Then dollar, 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 dollar. So we usually recite Om Mani Padme Hum. 6 syllables. 6 syllables. The meaning, Om, is something common, a mantra, Hindus, Buddhist, Om. The Om, there are 3 words, A, U, Ma. Together, Om. That represent our body, speech, and mind. A, U, Ma. So the self, or I, designated on the combination of body, speech, and mind. So Om represent self. Now this moment, that self, or say, almost become this because of the slave of ignorance. So suffering there, suffering nature. Buddha called dukkha nature. Now, Mani Padme, Om Mani Padme. Mani means jewel. Jewel represent Om-heartedness, Karuna, Mahakaruna. Mahakaruna combined with Padme. Padme means wisdom, which understand ultimate reality. Vipassana, through Vipassana practice, they develop wisdom which understand ultimate reality. The true truth, ultimate truth, a Sanskrit word.
Ultimate truth is Paramat Satya.
Kunzu Tamba.
Paramat Satya and Samriddhi Satya.
So that's very important. Now scientists also now begin to sort of realize that nothing exists as appears. Now, according to quantum physics, everything does not exist from objectively. But it appears things exist objectively. So now here, true truth, the concept of true truth make differences. Reality and appearances. Most of destructive emotion very much based on appearances. So the counterforce, the kasa, grasping as appears, which creates anger or hatred, all these negative emotions. So now if you go, now say, when you say, we say, oh, one person, oh, this is my enemy, really create trouble for me, so very bad, my enemy. Then question, which is the real enemy? His or her body? No. Or his mind? Maybe. And his voice, speech? No. So beside body, speech, mind, where is self? Where is the enemy? So now, again, some scientist, one American scientist, now very old now nearly 100-year-old, if he's still alive. When I first met, his age 84. His name, Kasa? Aaron Beck. Aaron Beck. Now he, non-believer, just scientist. You see, he deal with people who too much disturbed by anger. Over a few decades, you see, he deal such patient. Then he, through his own sort of observation, he told me, when person develop anger towards someone, the object appears very negative. But actually, that negativeness, 90% of that negativeness is an angry person's own mental projection, not reality. So this is exactly Nagarjuna's sort of writing. Exactly, you mentioned that. So therefore, now since all those destructive emotions, you see, developed on the basis of grasping as appears. So the counterforce is, this is just appearances, not the reality, not that, thinking deeper reality. Then the intensity of that grasping on the basis of appearance then become thinner. So now, Mani, Karuna, Mahakaruna, Padme, wisdom, which understand ultimate reality. Om Mani Padme. Hum means inseparable. So the warm-heartedness as Ubaya side and understanding ultimate reality, that's Paranja side. These two practices should combine, should join. Right? So that means hum, inseparable. So in order to purify all these destructive emotion through practice of compassion and wisdom, that must combinedly, jointly. Through that way, the self can purify. And as a result, self can be permanent, reach permanent state of happiness or peaceful. That's nirvana. So that's the meaning of Om Mani Padme Hum. So in order to know Om Mani Padme Hum, you have to study. I usually is telling Tibetan, Chinese, or Japanese, or Vietnamese, Koreans, and Burmese, or these is Buddhists, we should be 21st century Buddhist. That means with fuller knowledge about Buddha Dharma, Buddhist philosophy. Many cases in Ladakh and also the Tawang, I publicly mentioned, I appreciate their faith. devotion. But their faith is more like blind faith, without knowing. So therefore, now it is quite pity. The Buddhist philosophy, and particularly explained by these Nalanda master, each word explained through reason. Now many points, now scientists also, you see, have similar view. For example, the quantum physics, according to quantum physicists, physics is nothing objectively exists. Then finally, observer is the key factor. So long observer there, the things there. Observer no longer there, then difficult to say things exist or not. So the modern scientist, now when in the level of observer comes, no further explanation. In this country, concept of Atma and Anatma comes. That's observer. Non-Buddhist school of thought, beside this body and mind and speech, there is Atma. Permanent, oneness, absolute. Buddhist philosophy, no such independent or oneness of self, but self just a mere designated on the combination of body, speech, and mind. So body, and speech, and mind always changing. So self also changing. So anatma theory, atma theory, both dealing with observer. So modern scientists, quantum physicists, yes, there's nothing independently, objectively. But then observer case, then modern scientists, now later part of 20th century, now begin to feel, there is another factor which influence or affect our brain. Before that, brain, only brain, nothing. So some time back, I met a meeting at Japan, one scientist, brain specialist. He does not sort of accept mind, only brain. But then he very much worried about his son passed away. So through brain itself, brain alone, you cannot explain that sort of the feeling of pain. That's the mind. So now, later part of 20th century, like Richard Davidson, brain specialist, now they begin to feel there is something which still a mysterious phenomena which affect our brain. They sort of notice that some sort of practitioner who spend several hours meditation, their brain is something different. That word, I cannot pronounce that properly. Kasa?
Neuroplasticity.
Oh, that one. You see, through meditation, change that. Sometimes increase. So there must be something which affect on our brain. So beside brain, there are something which we call chit or mind. Then when the field of mind, there are so many different varieties. So obviously, sensorial level of consciousness, then dream level consciousness, then deep sleep level consciousness, the faint, completely faint, still deeper level of consciousness. Then at the time of dying, most subtle, deepest level of consciousness. So that is the continuation of previous life, this life, to this life, next life. So there are cases, some people clearly remember past life, not sensorial level of consciousness, but deepest level of consciousness, some sort of memory, some imprint in deepest level of consciousness. I also noticed was a certain subject, for me, seems easy to some my friend, I mean, the student who study this, they find it very difficult. Although to some extent, the brain cell, you can experience something, but cannot explain fully. So only the subtle level of consciousness. The previous life, you study something very familiar, your mind, that imprint a subtle level of consciousness. So next life, this gradually, this subtle level, or some imprint on subtle level becoming more manifest. Then things become easier. So some my friend who quite clearly memory about past life. Like that. So this, now modern scientists, later part of 20th century, now begin to investigate. And then also you see another thing, now there are at least I think 40, 50 cases who physically passed away, dead, but physical remain very fresh. So scientifically cannot explain. So now, since you see these things now quite often you see happening, therefore some, my friends, some American scientists now already start one project to investigate such case. Previously, some simple equipment, you see, use the dead body, this body very fresh, but clinically dead, no longer heart beating, so no blood circulation to brain, so brain dead, but still body remain very, very fresh. So now at Dharamsala, say one simple sort of was the equipment, eventually some simple sort of equipment now use. So at the beginning, when that equipment there available, no one die that way. When some cases happen, no longer equipment. So then eventually the equipment permanently remain in Dharamsala. So whenever we receive some information, someone, that body still remain fresh. So then eventually, some cases in South India, some learned one passed away. Next, about I think 3 weeks remain very fresh. So these equipment put on their head. So now some scientists now they found there is some indication, although brain, generally speaking, dead, but some movement there. So that's a very, very mysterious thing to brain specialists. So they create one project to carry investigation further like that. So these things, now things are changing. I think scientific research also now increasing. The equipment also now becoming more subtle, sophisticated. So,
Your Holiness, before we invite questions from the audience,
yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you read the Indian papers, newspapers, are you troubled by what you read? For instance, there are incidents where in the name of cow protection, people have been killed. The mobs, they take the law into their own hands and kill people in the name of the cow. Or there's this image now from Kashmir of a civilian being tied to the army chief to the army jeep as a human shield to protect the forces from stone pelters. Do these images, do these incidents trouble you? Do they bother you? What would you say?
Basically, as I mentioned earlier, basic human nature is more positive. That does not mean everybody is something nice. India, most populated democratic country, population over billion population, there must be some mischievous people always there. So these things will happen. It's normal. So the news report these things. It's right. Just what happened there, you report it. But meantime, I also, it's in many occasions, when I met the media people, I suggested the promotion of human value, human compassion. The media also have important sort of responsibility. So must make effort. So report, media, of course, you see, make clear what really happened, negative things, murders, rapes, like this, must known, must report to the public. At the same time, always negative, then the reader sometimes get, oh, basic human nature is negative. So future of humanity is doomed. Where? Doomed already. So we must report more balanced way. Negative things happen. What happened? You must report. At the same time, occasionally in the form of article or some other thing, you see, provide readers, basic human nature is positive. So these things, because of environment, I think the existing modern education is very much oriented about material value, not much talking about our inner value. So I feel all these, the certain sort of the mischievous things among the public, I think education is the main responsibility. So existing education system, I think, again, my long-time friend, India's modern education introduced by Britisher. Yeah. I really feel when, you see, the education started here, I think Indian scholars who have some knowledge about ancient Indian knowledge, how to tackle mind, emotion, that I think at that time, I think must sort of discuss or involve, I feel. But in any way, India is India. So the 1,000-year-old, your tradition, still there. Now only question is, try develop some interest, and with interest, revival of these things. That is important. So I really feel education is the key factor. And materialistic education, it creates materialistic life, materialistic culture. There's not much talking about these deeper values. In ancient time, religious faith, Kasoda carry the responsibility about that. Now modern time, religious faith, sometimes you see less effect. So therefore, the education alone should be complete, holistic.
So can we just get a sense of how many people have questions here? Just raise your hands.
Yes. I'm Mahendra Singhi from Dalmia Bharat Group. Normally in the organization, in the business, when people aim at some objective, then they create action plan and then they execute that action plan.
Just keep it a little bit short.
Sure.
When people make a business plan?
Yes, then they create action plan. But in personal life, when people target happiness, they don't create action plan and then they may not achieve happiness also. So what may be the reason that people don't target happiness as well people don't target action plan?
There is no independent, some sort of solid happiness. Happiness is creation of our mind, our own mind. So way of thinking, the destroyer of happiness also is within ourselves, not outside. The troubled world, individual can keep peace of mind. In order to develop peace of mind, not necessarily need peaceful atmosphere. No. Even troubled area. For example, I think 2 years ago, one American organization, NGO, brought some students from some African country and some Arab countries, about 25 or so. So we discuss about peace, these things. Then one student, the very moment some explosion, you see some friend dying, that very moment, that student determined we must make effort to create peace. So atmosphere, very violent atmosphere, but you see person can develop that kind of determination, and as a result can be peaceful, happy person. So happiness and anger, all these are within our own emotion. So training of emotion, training of our mind is key factor.
Your Holiness, you touched upon the subject of education and you linked it to spirituality several times in your speech. Now, obviously, something is lacking in our modern day education system, because otherwise modern day society would have been more spiritual than the previous society, because we are more educated today. Now, the question becomes, how do you transform modern day education system on a wide scale to inculcate this spiritual awakening without that initiative getting misinterpreted as a religious initiative? How do you make that distinction?
All major religious tradition talking heaven, hell. So without touching that, not talking about next life, just this very life, how to bring happy life. Firstly, individual level, then family level, then community level, then eventually whole humanity, irrespective whether believer or non-believer. Everybody wants happy life. Everybody have the seed of compassion there. We are a social animal. We received immense love, affection from our mother. Without that, we will not survive. So that's common experience. And common sense. When you look angry person's face, you feel uncomfortable. Isn't it? If may I say so, one lady, beautiful face, but angry face, we do not feel happy. Isn't it? So the compassionate face really brings some sort of satisfaction or happiness. So therefore, loving kindness is the key factor. Firstly, create one's own inner peace. Then immediately, you see, create some kind of peaceful atmosphere. The other people, including dogs, cats, they also appreciate our love. Small insect, I don't know. Like mosquito, I don't know. So many occasions, I ask some scientists, so which level of size of brain have the ability to show appreciation? No one answered that. So I ask, you see, when my mood is good and quite quite clear, no danger of malaria, then occasionally I give some blood, some mosquito. So suck my blood, and the whole body become red and fat, and then few drops come, and then fly. no indication of appreciation. Otherwise, you see, dogs, cats, birds, if you show genuine love, they appreciate, isn't it? So like that, the compassionate mind really brings happiness to others. And I often used to mentioning that sometimes the people get the impression practice of compassion is something religious matter. That's wrong. This animal, no religion, but they very much appreciate affection. And then secondly, you see people, often you see get the impression, practice of love, compassion, to other people get some happiness or some good thing. But practitioner himself or herself, not necessarily. But sometimes too much sort of concern about others' well-being, it may increase your own sort of a sense of concern increasing. So sometimes more exhaustion like that. But that's, I think, without sort of thinking more detail or more depth. The practice of love, compassion, first the benefit goes to himself or herself, practitioner. Although sometimes you may feel a little bit more anxiety or so on, but in deep level, strength, self-confidence, willpower, there, anger, some kind of, they feel too much concern, sense of concern. That's really weakness. The out of sense of concern of others' well-being, you may have some kind of feeling of burden, but actually below there, tremendous determination, tremendous willpower. So big differences. So now scientists also now, medical scientists also now, they say more compassionate mind, as I mentioned earlier, compassionate mind, very good for our health. Yes, next question.
So what message would you like to give to the students who are just over with the exams and they would like to inculcate good habits in their lives? So what would you like to tell them?
What message to students who have just completed exams? Who want happiness?
I don't know. My own case, I think in 1980, Murray, 1958, my final examination, much anxiety. So we, then I think the years study, if you study well, and then all those points you going to examination, you have confidence, then not much of reason, fear, anxiety. If during the past period you not much pay attention, serious study, then anxiety automatically come. That's reasonable. Your own sort of, what's the mistakes always. Your own creation. Like me also, when final examination, our style is debate. So when the debater starts certain point or mention, then if that point quite familiar to me, then I have a more confidence answer. When the debater starts certain point which I have not much sort of knowledge, then I really feel how to answer. Then this is sometimes I quite I think quite cleverly, you see, watching the debater's face and his sort of each wording, then judging that, and then oh, maybe this, so I answer that way. Oh, may not be that, so I answer according to that. But very difficult. So those points which I have full confidence, I have full knowledge, then you feel, even if the examination come, you feel more proud. Answer. So like that. I think study. Yes, study. That is important.
Okay, I think
Should not be like me. When I carry study, I was a very, very lazy student. Then anxiety come.
I think we'll take maybe 2 or 3 questions together. So that we can
No hurry. Now 3 o'clock. I spend another 30 minutes. Okay, no problem. If you have some hurry, then you can leave. I love talk.
Can we just take one mic at the back there? His hand's been up for a while. Yeah. Please introduce yourself.
Your Holiness. My name is Al Flim. I'm from Global Citizen India. Your commitment to the teaching of the one humanity and compassion really resonates with us at Global Citizen India. And so my question to you today is, in a world filled with so much tension, conflict, and war, how do we spread this message of one humanity and compassion at scale? And a follow-up question is, can we, as Global Citizen India, help you and lend you a platform to spread this message to our 500,000 global citizens across the world?
So as I mentioned earlier, look, each human being, I think, for example, imagine when our Kasoda craft something wrong, and then Kasoda damage, and we escaped one sort of empty land. You really feel, now how can I survive? And from distance, one human being appears. Then at that moment, your first thought come, oh, there are one human being. I may seek some help from that. Never sort of come, what is that nationality? What is their religion? What is their social background? And then children play together, never thinking about their family background or religion or nationality. So long play together. So that is and then hospital. Any patient come, never ask, what is your religion? What is your nationality? So long one patient come, immediately take care. So we already have sense of oneness of human being already there. Now, firstly, we grown up, then we too much emphasis the differences, the secondary level of differences. Now time come, think, all these man-made problem, killing, violence, you see too much emphasis on secondary level of differences. So the only answer to reduce this problem which create on the level of secondary level of differences, now only answer is we must go deeper. We are same human being. No matter what sort of their because of temporary their attitude, still human brothers, sisters. When 2008, some crisis inside Tibet. So a lot of sort of suppression, killing. During that moment, so I visualized some of these Chinese officials who carry some decision on the spot to arrest Tibetan, kill Tibetan. Oh. I visualize. Then our practice take and give. Take their anger, their fear, and give patience and compassion, forgiveness. So through that practice, of course, the reality, the problem, nothing helped to reduce the problem, but immense benefit to maintain peace of mind. Actually, I think love, kindness, karuna, which we are talking, is towards the human being or being, not their attitude. Anger is very much based on their attitude. And our ordinary love also is on the basis of their attitude. Once attitude change, then your the views also is change. So, for example, when we show love towards animal and towards our human brothers sisters, the genuine love is because they are human being, they are human brother, they are sentient being, they want happiness, do not know suffering. Therefore, I carry this sense of concern about their well-being. So that's genuine compassion. So that compassion can extend your enemy as far as their attitude towards you is concerned negative, but that's their action. But as a human brother, sister, still human being. So therefore, they also deserved our love. So that's genuine compassion. That's unbiased compassion. Usually our love, mainly basis of their attitude is biased. As soon as their attitude change, our mental attitude change. So that's biased. That's more or less biological factor. Through training, through reasoning, all sentient beings want happy life and have a right to happy life. So I must restrain harming them. If possible, help as much as I can. That's the genuine, unbiased love. That kind of love, biological factor, take as a seed, then use our intelligence, reason, then further develop. That's unbiased love. Next question.
Your Holiness, you spoke about animals and birds being able to respond. My question, there are two questions. One is that can a non-vegetarian really understand ahimsa? This is something about the doctrine of ahimsa and being able to hurt. The second part is we are born every day, and in fact, we reincarnate from moment to moment. But I think you probably know why I'm asking that question. But the actual physical birth, does it have any, in a day, does it have any significance year after year? I think you know why I'm asking that question.
Yeah, could you just repeat the second part?
Yeah, the second part, well, I didn't want to say it. It is my birthday today. But I'm just saying, does the significance of birth have any meaning year after year?
It's his birthday today.
Oh. Not important.
Does the significance of birth have any meaning?
Now, first question.
First one, non-vegetarian.
Very important. I think the non-vegetarian food, animal sacrifice. So, best thing, we should promote vegetarianism. I think 15 years, 15, 20 years, all our monastic institution, their common kitchen must serve vegetarian food. Then also, Tibetan Buddhist society in different part of the world, individual up to them, but as a community must serve vegetarian food. My own kitchen also, you see, mainly vegetarian. In my own case, now here, big contradiction. While I sort of appeal and suggesting, you see, promotion of vegetarianism, I myself remain non-vegetarian. Reason, 1964, I give up eating meat. Then next 20 months, I remain strict vegetarian. Then I develop, because of hepatitis illness, whole my body become yellow. Nails, eyes become yellow. So later I describe, at that time, I truly become living Buddha. So then, the allopathic.
Not the yellow race, not the Chinese. It never became Chinese.
What?
The Chinese are called the yellow race. It become that yellow.
Oh, in any way, Buddha usually you see yellow body. So in any way, you see, and then after 20 months, strict vegetarian, no egg, nothing, no fish, nothing. So I developed that gallbladder problem or jaundice problem. So allopathic physician as well as Tibetan physician, they advised me, now I should carry my original diet. So then occasionally I take non-vegetarian food. And especially, then you see, according Buddhist tradition, Vinaya clearly mentioned, you should not accept or consume meat which you doubt or heard or saw purposely killed. You never eat. You never accept. But then dead animals, meat, or on the market already available, then you can eat. So that's Vinaya Sutra, Patimoksha Sutra mentioned that clearly. So Buddhists in Sri Lanka and Thailand, Burma, so on, you see, actually no private kitchen. Carry baking bowl and then go, and family which non-vegetarian, if they give you food, non-vegetarian food, you should accept. Vegetarian family provide you vegetarian food, you should accept. Individual monk, no right to demand, I want this, I want that. So that's Buddhist tradition. And then some text, Buddha's teaching, completely, totally, prohibited eating meat. So some Chinese Buddhist tradition, very strict, purely vegetarian, and some Vietnamese, some Japanese also there. So there are differences. So my own case, as I already mentioned, mainly because of my health. Then since then, I developed the stone in gallbladder. So after, I think, 2008, gallbladder, lot of stone there. Then according as the doctor, physician, they advised me I should remove that. So then, since then, the Dalai Lama's holy body, one important organ, not there. So like that. So that's because of that, I remain non-vegetarian, but I myself promoting vegetarian. So I think when we flying aeroplane in the countryside, in near, let's say, the big city, a lot of poultry, chicken farm. Very sad, very sad. In the name of also the economic development, more and more chicken. Very sad, very sad. And then fish, limitless fish killing. And beef farm. I think too much our luxuries like that. So I think we must make effort promotion of vegetarianism. It's very important. Health viewpoint also, vegetarian, very good for our health. Eating too much meat will sometimes create more problem, isn't it? Like that. So, vegetarian food is concerned, Indian vegetarian is much more tasteful than Chinese vegetarian or Vietnamese or Chinese vegetarian. Sometimes you see, artificial porks, artificial something. That's not much so tasteful. Indian vegetarian, very good. Yesterday, we have some lunch with local authority. So without spoon or these things, and doing like that, and like that. So a lot of food here. I asked.
South Indian meal.
Yes.
South Indian meal.
One is also the leader, local leader. So I asked, say if your hand too much dirty, and if someone come, guest come, how to greet you, greet by you. Then he immediately responds, yes, left hand. So in any way, I think Indian vegetarian food is excellent, excellent. So that we must, I think, promote. In the name of economic development, more killing, more meat, I don't think good. And you also mentioned the cow, these things. And then I think vegetarian food, I think must promote.
Okay, we'll take a question at the back there. He'd also asked the meaning of birth, Your Holiness, so if we can maybe tie that in with this question.
Hi, my name is Krishna Pillai. I practice both Tibetan Buddhism and Hinduism. And while I was researching Tibetan, the Vajrayana and the earlier Buddhist schools that have influenced the Vajrayana, I was reading about both the Sarvastivada and the Madhyamaka of Nagarjuna, and how there's and there was one piece about how there's a difference in philosophy as far as how the Madhyamaka is about the middle path, whereas the Sarvastivada is about the dharmas of the past, present, and future, and a very complex aggregate-based system.
Can I just condense your question
Also, you have the Bon deities that
So
became the wrathful and peaceful deities of... I'm about to finish. So you have the wrathful and peaceful deities of Tibetan Buddhism coming, lots of the wrathful deities coming from
What's
the
your
Bon
question, my friend?
tradition.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off. What's your question? If
So
you just
basically, the Vajrayana is a cohesive system, but has so many different influences. So I wanted to understand how lots of these very different philosophies exist within one Vajrayana.
One Tibetan scholar, he made clear Temple Chizen Kansa Kwezen Sut.
So within the teaching of the Buddha, I mean, there is a general structure, a teaching which pertains to the general structure of Buddhism as a whole, and then there are teachings which pertain to particular, teachings which are tailored for particular specific disciples.
Another word, I think teaching of Buddha for common people, and another teaching of Buddha for individual. So Tantrayana, the second part, taught individual practitioner. So different mandala, different deities, like that. The first Dharma wheel, Four Noble Truths, so on, for public. And the second Dharma teaching, Panijaparamita Sutra, about Shunyata, also public. So, unfortunately, in Tibetan, in the past, I think we too much emphasis the teaching for individual. That is a way more attraction. Oh, practice Tantrayana, within 3 years, you can achieve Buddhahood. That's a nonsense. Truly. I publicly is telling, that is like communist propaganda. Not realistic. The teaching of common, that is really effective. So the Tantrayana, mainly for individual. Buddha Shakyamuni, as a Buddhist monk, he never taught Tantrayana publicly. Tantrayana taught by mandala with deity, his different manifestation. Now Tantrayana, the Buddhist Tantrayana and Hindu Tantrayana, many similarities. Practice of yoga, practice of Chandalini, Kundalini, and chakras, same. So the only sort of demarcation is every Buddhist Tantrayana at the beginning meditate on Shunyata. Then whole sort of visualization of deities or mandala must be reflection of understanding of Shunyata. So like that. So in order to practice Tantrayana, you need quite solid foundation. Without that, just to recite mantra, it's not sufficient, not effective. So like that. So I think I'm quite sort of publicly quite critical the existing our way of practice of Buddha Dharma. We must go to root text wrote by Nagarjuna or all these Nalanda master. My own practice, of course, my daily practice, I think at least 4 different mandalas, different deities, some are very wrathful, like that. Not much help. The practice of compassion, as Shantadeva's, the Bodhisattva Jaya avatars, you see, guidance, really immense help. And Nagarjuna's Madhyamika Mulakarika, immense help. Here, Katati's living here. Shashal ya Tong Unjur, Jungse Gogju, Shindu Gogju, Sumshida.
So in Indian epistemological tradition, there are 3 types of objects that we can perceive. One is the obvious things that we can see with our sensory perceptions, and then there is a second level of object which is called slightly hidden. And then there's the third level which is called extremely hidden phenomena.
So certain phenomena you cannot easily reasoning. So that depend on like Shunyata, slight hidden subject. You can reasoning. Every sort of reasoning ultimately based on our experience or obvious thing. So now that level, we have common experience with modern science.
So with regard to the things that are obvious, I mean, we can go on par with the science.
So that's sort of the proper way. Just talking mysterious things. Sometimes I also doubt.
I want to ask you one thing.
Oh.
Which tantric practice you follow?
Which tantric practice do you
Gui Samaza, Hiruka, Hebedra, Yamentaga, and Bezar Kilaya, and Harya Girwa. Many mandalas, many deities.
Can you explain anyone?
I think Guhi Samanza, so most favored sort of Tantrayana, because Nagarjuna wrote the Guhi Samanza sort of, also the Tantrayana. Nagarjuna wrote, and his main disciple Aryadeva wrote, and another sort of well-known scholar, Chandakirti, wrote. So quite reliable. And then the Tantrayana, one special thing is dealing with innermost subtle consciousness. Consciousness, sensorial level consciousness, and dream level consciousness, and deep sleep level of consciousness, and the dying, the deepest consciousness. So Tantrayana, you see, trying to manifest most subtle level of consciousness. Now that transform wisdom. So there is that kind of wisdom, the grosser level of consciousness become wisdom, and the subtle level of consciousness become wisdom. The second one is most powerful. So that is something quite unique. So here, two clear lights. One, external clear light. That's shunyata. Another, internal clear light. That's subtle, inner subtle most sort of consciousness. That's inner clear light.
So, in this practice,
I think
you use some kind of a yantra. You use also some kind of a yantra, because I have seen different kind of yantras in a lot of Buddhist monasteries.
Correct, yeah?
Yantra like Sri Yantra.
What? Mandala? What? Mandala or what?
When you practice this procedure, are you also using some kind of a yantra like Sri Yantra or something? Because in a lot of Buddhist monasteries, I have seen a lot of yantras and...
Yantra, I think mandala.
Yeah.
Mandala.
Yes.
Yes, mandala and different form of deities. All this, just visualize deity.
Yeah.
And you yourself consider, I'm Buddha. It's nonsense. So, firstly, we must meditate on shunyata. Everything not exist by objectively. So analyze that, then you get a feeling, genuine emptiness. Appearances no longer there. Because appearances not in the nature of reality. Reality, nothing. Shunyata. Because things are interdependent. So there is no independent existence. So absence of independent existence is shunyata. So meditate on it. Then, you see, that reflection, that day,
So from within the meditation on emptiness, then you arise in the form of a deity.
So you see, that wisdom which understands shunyata, or nothing, no appearances. Now that very mind, you understand shunyata, that very mind transform as a mandala. Then it become genuine Buddhist Tantrayana's practice. Just to visualize, you see, mandala is not not sure whether genuine Buddhist practice or not. So then then with that, and also you see all these Guhisamanza, Hebanza, all these, you see process of death and intimate state, and then take rebirth, all this, because of Chiwa, Pardo, Kyawa,
So within this meditation on Tantra, you actually take into the path the three phases, which are the dying phase, and then the intermediate phase between this life and the next, and then the rebirth into the path.
So this represent Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Buddha's stage is a formless Buddha with form with subtle level and form which ordinary people can see, like Shakyamuni, because of the Buddha Shakyamuni is a body like that. So three kayas, sort of some, or three kayas, you see, its own causes must be there. Substantial cause must be there. All these causes on the very, very innermost, subtle level of consciousness. There are consciousness, one aspect, consciousness, one aspect is inner air. So that is the seed of three Buddhas, three kayas. So now in order to use these sort of subtle level consciousness, the grosser level of consciousness must stop, must cease. So Tantrayana, there are Triya Tantrayana, Upa Tantrayana, Anuttara Kasamare, Yoga Tantrayana, and the Ma Anuttara Yoga Tantrayana. So these four deities which I practice belongs the Ma Anuttara Yoga. You see, dealing with innermost subtle mind.
Your Holiness, I thank you so much for spending so much time with us.
In many ways, Mumbai is a great corrupter of culture also. I mean, I remember like people who speak Hindi and Urdu speak better when they come from the north or from this or anywhere except Bombay. Bombay is like ek glass pani mangta hai, humko ye cheez. I mean, so the language gets affected. And if you live in that insular world of movies, then you lose touch with the rest of the country as well. So, and then we really respect, earthy level stuff or anything.
Is there anybody you are so starstruck by?
Meryl Streep. I only want to meet her. I can die after that.
Is any filmmaker who you are
not at all
inspired by?
I don't want to meet anyone. I mean, inspired me. They've all done some great work, and I love them. But I only want to meet. I have this this fascination for just meeting Meryl Streep for dinner.
And you haven't met her yet?
Never.
No.
I did see her at the Golden Globes, which I attended in 2011. But in my head, I was like, if I go and shake her hand, somebody was willing to introduce me, a studio head who I knew. Yeah. But she'll shake my hand and I'll say I'm a big fan and she'll never remember me. I need to sit and have a chat with her. And if that doesn't happen, I don't want to ever meet her.